All this knowledge that we acquire called spiritual knowledge is only a mirror for the timeless to see itself. And for what reason? For no other reason than it's fascinating for souls. Recognition.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming by tonight. This is the Creative Buzz podcast, a glimpse into the local arts hive mind. We cover San Diego art and culture scene. We're here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We are sponsored by Thumbprint Gallery, which was founded in 2009. Thumbprint Gallery curates monthly and pop-up art exhibitions featuring emerging mid-career and established artists with a focus on contemporary pop culture, nostalgia, urban art, and pop surrealism. And I want you guys to check out our current online art exhibition, The Complexity of Light, a solo show by Carlo Miranda. And thanks to everybody for coming to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about local San Diego artists continuing to express their support for the Black Lives Movement. Unemployment falls, but economic strength is still highly questionable. And we're going to have a little feature on how the New Deal empowered artists during the Great Depression and compare that to our response today to our current economic crisis. I also will be interviewing local San Diego electronica musician Secret Miracle, aka Anthony Comito. So stick around for that. How's everybody doing? So help us keep helping the arts. Make a donation of any amount to our PayPal info at thumbprintgallery.com. Venmo is at Thumbprint Gallery. We're trying to keep the doors open in this time of pandemic. It's right here. First, I really want to quickly show you guys some of the stuff we did last week. The murals in La Mesa. Unfortunately, it didn't come out on Facebook and YouTube, the images, so I just want to show that to you guys. The murals were done in the aftermath of the recent social unrest in La Mesa, which resulted in some property damage. And last week, the images were only viewable through Instagram for some reason, so I'm just going to do that really fast. I'll show you guys Instagram too. Sorry if you've seen this already. Oops, what the hell? Yeah, so this is some of the stuff, some of the murals they did at La Mesa after the protests. Oh, Crystal Bow, I know her, local artist. Well, that's her again. Victor Villa, local artist, worked for Thumbprint Gallery. Had to lay him off though. Johnny Alexander, I don't know this guy. It's kind of familiar. I'm not exactly sure who that is. So they're just beautifying the neighborhood after the protests in La Mesa. Sean Erler, local artist. We've shown him a bunch of times. Laurent, CJ Martinez. Sorry if you guys saw this last week, but it did not come out on Facebook. Okay. Cool. Give me 1 second here. So yeah, that was some of the stuff they did for La Mesa. Another local artist who is also has expressed her support for the Black Lives Movement is Sonia Lopez Chavez. She's the owner of La Bodega Galleries, and she's created a free coloring page you can download and color yourself for fun, give it to your kids, etc. The image of the coloring page is an image of a group of civil rights and social justice icons such as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Leonard Peltier, Cesar Chavez, and Frederick Douglass. I'll show you guys that. I'll also be, I'll be putting the link to how you can download this in the Facebook event page. If you need any of these links, sources, resources I talk about, please send an email to thumbprintgallery@gmail.com. I'll get that to you. Also, we'll be posting it all on our Facebook as well. Creative Buzz Podcast, Facebook. Yeah. The whole thing right here. Cool. So local artists expressing their support for Black Lives Matter movement. So local artists are supporting the community. The community should do what they can to support local artists. One group of local artists that we should support is a local art company called Horrorgasm. They specialize in horror themed art. And they have a call to artists out now for their summer slasher series. And I guess it's about slasher art. Like Michael Myers, that kind of stuff. For participation inquiries, please email Jennifer@horrorgasmsd.com with links of your art on social media and images of your art. Also, check out Horrorgasm's current online art exhibition, Monster Mayhem, which is now online at horrorgasmsd.com, HORRORGASMSD.com. Also want to let you guys know about the virtual showcase of student artwork online at Mesa College. It's a virtual student exhibition, which is live now. I will put the link to the exhibition in our Facebook event page. I will post it on the Creative Buzz Podcast Facebook page. Send me an email, thumbprintgallery@gmail.com if you need any of these links. So a little bit about the exhibition. Closure of the campus and transfer to remote classes didn't stop us from gathering and presenting the wonderful array of works produced by students in our art classes, and that's at Mesa College. The Spring 2020 online student art exhibition is an exciting and masterful collection of artworks in a variety of media, including drawing, design, digital media, photography, painting, ceramics, and sculpture, all produced by students enrolled in studio art classes. So yeah, check out San Diego Mesa College Art Gallery. Check out their online exhibition, read some of these comments if you have any. Hey, Linda J Love says, #BLM, indeed. What's up, Robeast? Linda J Love says, beautiful, referring to the La Mesa murals. Maldo Don says, hola, Johnny. Hola, Patricia. Mostas. Luisa is in the house. I also want to let you guys know that not only visual artists that you should support locally, you should also support your local musicians and DJs. One DJ I want to let you guys know about is DJ Shay Boogie. She DJ'd for a lot of Thumbprint Gallery art events with her DJ crew. And she has 2 mixes out now on her SoundCloud. One is called Sugar Plus Bitters. It's kind of a more upbeat hip hop R&B kind of thing. And another one is called Yellow Plus Box, which is like an R&B neo soul mix. So check those out. I will post that up. Email me thumbprintgallery@gmail.com. Need to get any of that information. Also, help Thumbprint Gallery, our sponsor, keep the business going in the time of pandemic. Make any amount of a donation to our PayPal at info@thumbprintgallery.com. Venmo is at Thumbprint Gallery. Check out our current online exhibition, The Complexity of Light, a solo art show by Carlo Miranda. Nice. All right. Where am I? Yeah, so I guess we're reopening now in San Diego, seeing how that goes. We had a significant spike of infections, coronavirus, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. So we'll have to see. But the opening is causing more activity in the economy, which helps, which may help anyways. But we do have some news about the economy. Unemployment has fallen, which is good, but economic strength still remains questionable. And this is important for the arts and culture because our industry is mostly fueled by consumer spending. So there was a jobs report recently, which at first showed some significant improvement in the employment picture in the US. Originally, it had shown an unemployment rate much better than what was expected. However, since then it turns out that the Bureau of Labor Statistics made a huge error in calculating the data. This is from Forbes.com. The data released from the Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that 2.5 million jobs were added in May. This was followed by an enthusiastic take on how the U.S. may be turning the corner. Despite all the negatives, it seemed the U.S. was seeing rays of hope. Stock market was up, etc. But unfortunately, after delving into the footnotes of the numbers, it now looks like the jobs report has been inaccurate for the last 2 months. BLS has admitted that government household survey takers mistakenly counted about 4.9 million people as employed, although they were actually unemployed. Had the mistake been corrected, the unemployment rate would have risen to 16.1% in May, and the corrected April figure would have been more than 19.5% rather than 14.7%. So employment picture looking better, but it wasn't as good as they first initially reported. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. And however, despite the error, it does seem the employment picture, although moving in the right direction, is moving rather slowly. And also, it seems that the momentary recovery is not evenly distributed, and that the inequality of the recovery in employment mirrors the inequalities across the whole of our society in America. The latest report has shown that the employment picture worsened more for Black workers than any other demographic groups. It's from The Hill. Black unemployment in May represented the highest rate in more than a decade, according to an analysis of BLS statistics by Bloomberg. So, although it is good for the arts and culture industry that unemployment is actually beginning to fall, issues of inequality are something that the arts community should take into consideration. This is essential not only from a moral perspective, but also from an economic perspective when it comes to the arts, given that gentrification has resulted in a diminishing of the arts and culture throughout San Diego. And of course, gentrification is exacerbated through wealth inequality and an economy that is set up to benefit large corporations over minorities and, quite frankly, over all working people. So yes, we gotta pay attention to the economics, just from a business perspective in the arts and culture industry. But also, yeah, inequality fuels gentrification, which obviously many people have been worried about in the arts recently. Yeah, but we gotta make money. And I do have an event that will help people in the arts and culture increase their money. It's called The Forum, Making Money for Creatives with Sean Cassidy. This is presented by Vanguard Culture. It's on June 12th, 2020, 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. $5 suggested donation via Zoom. Join a candid conversation with founder of Cassidy Creative Solutions, Sean Cassidy, about how to make one's art practice both marketable and profitable by maximizing current resources in a post-COVID-19 world. This workshop is designed to support creatives in need of business development support or guidance, and is geared toward painters, musicians, sculptors, poets, musicians, dancers, artists, all that. And it's conceived in partnership with Vanguard Culture, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to advancing San Diego's creative industries. So yeah, people in the arts need to keep up on economics, business, finance, networking, and all that. And Sean Cassidy is a great resource, and you guys should check that out. So what I should be doing now. Oh, yeah. Also, consider making a donation to our sponsor to help us help the arts. Thumbprint Gallery. Our PayPal is info@thumbprintgallery.com. Venmo is at Thumbprint Gallery. Check out the current online art exhibition, The Complexity of Light, a solo art show by Carlo Miranda. All right, so we're gonna start with how the New Deal empowered artists during the Great Depression, and compare that to our response today to the current economic crisis. So basically, just a set of primer, I guess. The New Deal during the Great Depression was a set of expansionary policies set out by the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration, which included publicly funded projects to restart an ailing economy. Part of this was arts-related funding and projects, which resulted in some quite significant works of art and jump-started the careers of many important artists. This is from NPR. The Great Depression challenged Americans, not just with horrifically high unemployment, but ideological divides not utterly unlike the ones we face today. Today, poll after poll show the country deeply split on major issues. Racism, Islamophobia, and anti-Semitism are on the rise. Back then, the labor movement was burgeoning. So was the membership of the Ku Klux Klan. Rampant anti-Semitism informed powerful public figures such as Henry Ford and Charles Lindbergh and millions of people listened as Father Charles Coughlin railed against immigrants and in favor of fascism in his weekly radio broadcast. Meanwhile, Black people were excluded from segregated soup kitchens as African American unemployment hovered around 50%. When the Roosevelt administration rolled out tens of millions of dollars during a New Deal to fund artists, musicians, writers, and actors, its mission was more than just job creation. It wanted to create a version of American culture that everyone could rally behind. Music, art classes, posters, plays, and photography funded by the federal government were supposed to unite a nation in turmoil. Working for the Farm Security Administration, photographer Dorothy Lange and Walker Evans took empathetic photos of rural white sharecroppers. Gordon Parks documented the resilient faces of Washington, D.C.'s Black working class. Composer Aaron Copland was commissioned by the Works Progress Administration to write Quiet City for the Group Theater in 1939. Painter Jackson Pollock was stealing food from push carts before he was hired by WPA's famed Murals Division. That's pretty amazing. And writer Ralph Ellison used language from oral histories he recorded for the WPA in Harlem in his groundbreaking novel, The Invisible Man. So yeah, the New Deal definitely moved the arts forward in San Diego. I mean, not San Diego, but nationwide. I don't know why I said that. I want to play for you a little video about the history of the federal art project funded through the New Deal. Just I can play a couple minutes of it.
Most people don't associate the Great Depression with a tremendous amount of growth in the visual arts. But what you're seeing right now is just a small selection of the thousands of new American art pieces that came about during the Great Depression. And all of this was possible because of just a few government programs designed for the creation of public art. The 1920s were one of the most glamorous decades in American history. There was plenty of new music, fashion, and developments in technology. American artists benefited from the economy, but they were still very dependent on wealthy patrons. The most popular art produced at this time was inspired by work that had been created overseas in Europe, and artists did not often pull subject matter directly from the American landscape or history. Art reflected the high-class lives of the wealthy, or were formed with well-established subjects like landscapes. Artists were a pretty scattered group that still needed the favor of the rich to achieve individual success. Looking back, it's hard to believe that all of this great extravagance could come tumbling down. And yet, it did. In fact, it all began to fade away on October 29, 1929, Black Tuesday, the day the stock market crashed and the Great Depression began.
I think we're technically in depression now, I think.
It was an economic catastrophe,
I read that somewhere.
with 25% unemployment, a slashed national income, rampant bank foreclosures, and long lines at soup kitchens across the country.
We're not at that point
Artists
yet.
suffered along with everyone else. They found it difficult to continue in their creative experiments as almost no one could afford to commission artwork. And then, when all seemed lost,
this great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt was inaugurated in March of 1933, and in his famous first 100 days as president, he created a widespread and comprehensive reform and relief program known as the New Deal. The New Deal was full of new government agencies, most of which targeted unemployment in the failing economy, though there were some that reformed the banks and insurance policies to prevent another economic collapse. One of the most significant programs, and the largest of them all, was the Works Progress Administration, the WPA. Headed by Harry Hopkins, a close advisor of the president, his primary goal was simply to get people back to work. Beginning in 1935, the program mostly funded construction-oriented public work projects, but by the time the program was shut down, almost every single community in the United States had at least one public site that had been worked on by members of the WPA. A few months after the program's creation, Harry Hopkins expanded the focus of the WPA to include artists. His proposal was known as Federal One, and it created 4 subcategories for unemployed artists. There was the Federal Theater Project, the Federal Writers Project, the Federal Music Project. Last was the Federal Art Project, the first federally sponsored visual arts project in history.
No one really today can put together, in a sense, realize how much it meant in the history of art in terms of American culture. There were no jobs, and there was nothing going on except poverty. And the WPA took care of that and gave them something stable to work.
The Federal Art Project, the FAP, was run by Holger Cahill. At its peak, the FAP provided jobs for over 5,000 painters, sculptors, photographers, and printers, a remarkable feat at a time when most people struggled to find or keep a job. The Federal Art Project had 3 main goals. The first was to create art for the public in a new way. The Federal Art Project also aimed to implement art education in local schools. FAP workers were employed as teachers for aspiring artists and students. Last was to integrate art into the community with neighborhood art galleries and traveling art shows. This was especially significant for Americans living in rural towns that never had the opportunity to see or learn about art before. The art was displayed in public settings, such as in schools, hospitals, and post offices. Artists began to turn away from European influences and focus on national identity. The uniquely American inspirations came to be known as the American scene. But because American scene is such a broad term, artists understood the concept in different ways.
It was a kind of a catch-all phrase that was never really defined. And at its broadest, it encompassed subject matter drawn from American history, American mythology, American culture, and everyday life. Sometimes that could be totally mythologizing and nostalgic. Sometimes it could be much more critical. For instance, on the mythologizing end, you have these great murals at the University of Wisconsin that depict Paul Bunyan and his ox. On the other hand, you have artists like Thomas Hart Benton, who actually depicted the KKK in his murals. They were all controversial, but the most important thing is that it provided such a wide range of responses to ideas about American identity and politics.
Because artists were given freedom to interpret the American scene, some interesting new trends developed. For one thing, there was more of a focus on the lives of the working class in industrial environments. For the first time, artists as a unified group were acting as promoters of social change by creating art that displayed poor living conditions or societal problems. They were celebrating the experiences of the lower class in the most public settings, while being paid by a government agency. This kind of artwork would never have been allowed in the 1920s or any other time period. Both stylistically and politically, the art movement was revolutionary. Despite overall positive feedback from the public, not everyone believed that the Federal Art Project was a success. Although the focus of Republican opposition was on the Writers' Project and the Theater Project, which were derided as supporting anti-American sentiment, the Arts Project nevertheless was frequently criticized as a boondoggle that subsidized lazy artists who worked irregular hours and produced work on an erratic timetable. Arts Project administrators fought against these charges, but they persisted until the project's end. Although it was not centered in one area of the country, the Federal Art Project did have a large presence in Chicago. One particularly Chicago-focused mural is located in Lakeview Neighborhood Post Office. The mural is titled Chicago, Epic of a Great City, and it was painted by Harry Sternberg in 1937. It is a prime example of the way artists were able to incorporate local history in their art. This mural displays the history of Chicago with a vertical timeline down the center. Fort Dearborn is shown at the bottom as the first settlement in Chicago. This evolves into the 19th century version of the city with images of the Chicago Fire. Finally, at the top, this is transformed into the modern-day skyline of the 1930s. The timeline celebrates the progress through the change from a simple fort to a sprawling metropolis. Sternberg visually combines the agricultural power of Chicago with its modern determination in industry. Horizontally, the artist displays this industry in development with images of working industries like steel mills and a cow slaughter, because the meatpacking business was so significant in the city's past.
The choice to show the cow slaughter, I think, is a great example of how the American scene could encompass both everyday heroism and everyday brutality. Nobody would have ever thought that that was an appropriate way to decorate a public building before the idea of economic justice and the question of what constitutes American history and American culture and American values came to the forefront.
And ultimately, that's what the Federal Art Project was all about. Artists cooperated with their government to create art that displayed their interpretation of American life. Some of it was positive, a postcard of the American dream. Some of it was negative and represented a visual plea for reform. Much of it featured the lives of those who struggled and worked hard every day. Finally, the largest section of American society was represented, even if it was at a time of great uncertainty and loss. Although the project lasted only 8 years, all of this and the fact that artists were provided with jobs and relief by their federal government was unprecedented. A few generations ago, the people of this country were taught by their writers and their critics and their teachers to believe that art was something foreign to America and to themselves, something imported from another continent and from another age that was not theirs, something they had no part in. But recently, within the last few years, they have discovered that they have a part. They have seen in their own towns, in their own villages, in schoolhouses and post offices, pictures painted by their sons, their neighbors, people they have known and lived beside and talked to. They have seen rooms full of paintings by Americans, some of it good, some of it not good, but all of it native, human, eager, and alive. All of it painted by their own kind in their own country, and painted about things they know and look at often and have touched and loved.
All right. Nice. So you can see the New Deal program majorly, in a big way, supported the arts from the federal government. Oops. During a time of economic crisis, similar to the time we are in now. However, our situation today in terms of government help for the arts is quite different. As we have talked about in previous episodes in this podcast, the city of San Diego is set to slash the budget for arts and culture. The state of California is set to slash the funding for the California Arts Council. And on the federal level, the Trump administration has proposed a budget with massive cuts to arts funding for 2021. Get into that in a little bit. I'm going to read some of these comments, if there are any. Linda J. Love says, preach. I think she's referring to a little riff about inequality and the economic recovery. All right, so yes, this is from artnet.com about the Trump budget cuts to the arts. It's that time again. It's that time of year again. The National Endowment of the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities are in trouble, with President Trump again aiming to eliminate the two agencies, this time in his budget for the 2020 fiscal year. Oh, okay, so this is from the 2020. So this is the time before. So Trump is again trying to eliminate National Endowment for the Arts, National Endowment for the Humanities. But what I'm reading from is from when he did that the first time in his last budget proposal. He unveiled a whopping $4.7 trillion budget, largest in federal history, on March 11th. But according to documents, the NEA's budget is marked at $29 million, and the NEH's is at $38 million, which proposal describes as sufficient funding for orderly termination of all operations over 2 years. And Art News previously reported that the two agencies would cost a quarter of their annual budgets just to shut down. The administration does not consider NEA or NEH activities to be core federal responsibilities. Essentially, what Trump is and has been trying to do is completely shut down and eliminate the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities with this budget proposal, and the current proposal as well. Luckily, since it is such a drastic proposal, some Republicans are actually against the current proposal to completely eliminate National Endowment for the Arts. However, it should also highlight how important it is for artists to become politically active. One of the reasons the arts and culture is always the first to get funding cuts is that our elected leaders know that we do not vote and we don't pay attention. So perhaps it is time we start doing that as artists and creatives. And this is definitely true on a local level here in San Diego. Many San Diego orgs have received significant funding from NEA, which is the National Endowment for the Arts. And also the NEH has helped fund large arts and culture projects locally. One of these recent grants is for the expansion of Museum of Contemporary Art in San Diego. And I got a list of some of the NEA grants that are out there right now. And there's a lot. I'm just gonna go through some of them. These are all local San Diego arts organizations getting money from the NEA, which the Trump administration wants to eliminate. Classics for Kids is getting $10,000. They support a series of concert performances for children, students. Classics for Kids, another $10,000. Here's an organization for teachers and artists, known as COTA, C-O-T-A. And they're getting $15,000 for one grant. Diversionary Theater Productions, they're getting a few. Oh no, okay, they're getting $10,000, so that'll be gone. For Community Arts, this is all local San Diego. Fern Street Community Arts, $20,000. Guitars in the Classroom, $20,000. Little Saigon San Diego Foundation, you get $10,000 from the National Endowment for the Arts, and that'll be gone if this budget proposal goes through. There's one called Mainly Mozart Incorporated. You get $15,000. That'll be gone. Media Arts Center San Diego. I think a lot of you guys know that. They support the San Diego Latino Film Festival and other film stuff, and they have art shows there. They get $20,000. Oops, two $20,000 grants, actually. Maybe even more. Museum of Photographic Arts in Balboa Park. They get $35,000. New Children's Museum. They get $25,000. Oops, two $25,000 grants. So $50,000 for the New Children's Museum will be gone if Trump gets his way. Old Globe Theater, they got one grant for $35,000, another for $40,000. That's $75,000 at stake for the Old Globe. Pacific Arts Movement, $20,000. Oops, actually $20,000, then $15,000. So that's $35,000 for San Diego. What's it called? Pacific Arts Movement, and they host the San Diego Asian Film Festival. think it's a very popular film festival in San Diego. And they will lose all their funding, at least all the funding they get from the NEA, if Trump gets his way with the budget, which I don't think he will, but it is something to pay attention to. That's why it's important to vote, etc., and get politically involved. San Diego Dance Theater, $10,000. San Diego Museum Council, $10,000. San Diego Rep Theater, $20,000. Another $20,000 for Rep Theater. San Diego Symphony Orchestra get two $20,000 grants, or maybe three. Anyways, that's all at stake in the budget for the NEA. As far as the NEH, National Endowment for the Humanities, they do support the Museum of Contemporary Art. They were one of a dozen grant recipients in California. And they have a location in San Diego downtown and La Jolla. And their matching grant is earmarked for construction expenses and campaign fundraising costs to expand the La Jolla campus to include capacity for displaying a permanent collection as well as to temporary exhibits. So they get some funding. $750,000 actually is what the Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego gets from the National Endowment for the Humanities. And that is all on the cutting block with the current proposed Trump budget. And that's in contrast with what was done in FDR's time, the New Deal, which obviously was very beneficial to the arts, created Jackson Pollock. Anyways, so support the arts, get involved politically and support the arts, support your local artists, even on an individual level. One artist that you should support is Victorio Villa. He was a Thumbprint Gallery employee. We had to lay off. He's a local artist. He needs our support. Check out his art shop, bctr.threadless.com. Jackie Geary, also a local artist, has her own jewelry line called Jack's Atelier. Percentage of each sale is donated to homeless charities. Website is JAXATELIER. And support Thumbprint Gallery, our sponsor for this podcast. Send us a donation of any amount. Trying to keep our doors open through this time of pandemic and quarantine and shutdown. PayPal's info at thumbprintgallery.com. Venmo's at Thumbprint Gallery. Check out our current online art exhibition, The Complexity of Live Solo Art Show by Carlo Miranda. We were just talking about the New Deal and comparing the New Deal to current response of the federal government. To cut all the funding for National Endowment of the Arts. I'm going to play for you guys just a couple minutes. Just a little video from the National Endowment of the Arts. It's called The Artist's Role in the Community. Play a couple minutes.
I'm Andrew Bird, and I'm a songwriter, violinist.
My name is Alexis Yamarino, and I'm a community artist based in East Baltimore.
I'm Jim Ballinger, director of the Phoenix Art Museum.
My name is Barbara Ernst Prey. I am a painter. I paint large watercolors.
My name is Mike Weber, and I'm a mixed media artist in Washington, D.C.
To borrow from the great writer down in Poincare Parish, Louisiana, Ernest Gaines says, you know, if you really want to study human society, you don't pick up nonfiction, you pick up fiction. And if you really want to get to know the essence of people, fiction allows enough flexibility for us to really discuss what the characters were thinking and why they were doing what they were doing. Truly intent. So I think when we think about beauty, we think about imagination, we can't get to these truths of the human race without really leaving enough flexibility in our existence. And that would be art. And I think that's the role of artists in society today.
The artist's role in community is a role that assumes that you're part of a greater context of reality, which is beyond the self-referential idea that you create work to solely share with the world like what is important to you. And while this is a really important thing to own as an artist, I think the artist's role in community is to strengthen the way that you interpret your surroundings and choose to make meaning as sort of a cultural maker of art.
The activity of going to some sort of artistic event, that being an option, is incredibly valuable for a community. I mean, sure, there's like sporting events that do that, but maybe they don't leave you with such a
What's up, Joe?
much beyond the event itself. Whereas I think the arts can really change you.
As an artist, I think my job is to inspire, provide hope, help people look at things differently, encourage. I've been very involved in helping and working with many different organizations to really make the community and our world a better place, and I can really look back in my life and say that I feel that I have made a difference, and that's something that's very, very exciting, and I've been able to use the gifts that I've been given.
Over the last 10 years or so, what we've seen is a tremendous burgeoning, finally, of downtown, and it's with First Fridays, which is a very large coming together in neighborhoods around the museum of artists opening their studios, have started shops, pop-up galleries, and we've had as many as 10,000 people on an event. And just at the museum alone, we open that night for free, and it welcomes particularly young people, young creative people to the museum. And we're averaging over 2,000 to 2,500 people each and every month.
Artists living in your communities actually creates a sense of community. For example, in Washington, D.C., we have a group called the Mid-City Artists. And when I first moved to Washington about 9 years ago, I had a very hard time finding other artists. It was very rare, or seemed rare to me, for artists to get together and paint or draw, which should be a very normal, everyday thing. And a couple of artists and I got together and started talking about building more of an artist colony. And
all right, that's enough. Yeah, so that was from the National Endowment of the Arts about the role of the artists in the community. So you guys, they're cutting me off on Instagram. I gotta go, and gonna cut the feed. And I'll be right back. So just rejoin the feed. Then I'm going to play some music from our featured guest today, Anthony Comito, local electronica musician, also known as Secret Miracle. Just here on Instagram, I'm going to cut the feed right now and just come right back. One second here. Oops, totally messed it up. Okay. Sorry. Wow, that was confusing.
What were we setting? love. Yeah, to make people happy.
Oh, buddy. read some comments while we're waiting. Malo Don says, tonight's information was very inspiring, Johnny. Roles of artists are very important in our community. Thanks for sharing those videos. You're welcome. Malo Don says, sounds good. I think she's referring to the music. Mr. Kotani says, nice sunset today. Yeah, good weather today. Oh, there he is. FCC Clothing and Jewelry says, happy to see you again, at least virtually, and a big hug. All right. Good to see you too, virtually. What's up, Anthony? Want to try to do this? Just send me that, did you see my message? Send me that video again. Couldn't find it. There you go. Go live, yes. Melissa. Sorry about that. Are you there? It's working. No, really? What? Why does it not work? All right, how about now? Oh, right, here we go. Looking good. Nice.
What's up, buddy?
How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me on your podcast. Yeah, it's rad that you're doing this, especially for the San Diego scene right now, and supporting everything, keeping things going, keeping things growing.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for being here on Creative Buzz Podcast. Everybody, this is Anthony Comito, and he's known by his recording alias Secret Miracle. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So you're an electronica musician based in San Diego, California. You've lived and recorded music in San Francisco, New York, Vietnam, and San Diego. Got your first EP coming out, Uneasy EP, out on Stone Recordings. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you start making music? When did you start making music?
Yeah, well, first off, that must have been like an old bio. Like I did put out an EP. It was called Uneasy, and I put that out.
Oh, that's already out. That's already out. That's not the one coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one coming out. So I put that out about a year ago, and then I'm going to be putting hopefully putting stuff new out in the next. I was trying to push it for as fast as possible during this time because it's pretty applicable to this time, and in several different ways.
Like what?
And
you mean you're talking about like the COVID-19 and the economic crisis, etc.?
I'm talking about all the good things in life.
All the good things in life, yes. Don't forget about that. Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of, my music is comprised of a lot of, I'll have an intention and I'll find it through, the songs are made up of whether it's field recordings or a sample from a certain documentary or something, a sample from a lecture, kind of go from there. And so a lot of this stuff is applicable. Like one thing that I can play for you is, and I didn't want to put it out there, but it's Nina Simone. It's on the Artist Duty.
Oh.
It's called Artist Duty, and
I've
it's
never heard that one. I've never heard of that one. Interesting.
It's not a song. It's from a documentary.
Oh.
And it's just about a 50-second clip, and it's her talking about the artist's duty during hard times. And she's like, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, you know, or what's going on. And she talks about what the artist's duty is during these times. And so that's an example of something that sets the tone for a track.
That's very interesting. We were literally just talking about that. But yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on your computer and you type in Nina Simone in the Artist Duty store, I can play it in a little bit. Just that, I mean, I can just play her sample.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Well, whatever you want, you can play whatever you want. I didn't know you can play things. So that's pretty cool.
Well, here I'm not sure if I got my computer behind my phone, but I'm gonna play it, and you're gonna tell me if you can hear it. Okay?
Okay.
And it's true. I paint.
I'm gonna start it over. Let me.
Oh, hold on 1 minute.
What's that?
Could you tell everybody like what style of music you create or produce? Like,
yeah.
how would you describe it? I mean, I'm sorry. By the way, everybody, we've been listening to, I should have said this earlier, obviously, Anthony's music the whole time, the podcast today and last week. So, I mean, how would you describe it for those that just tuned in?
That's a good question. I get asked that, and I don't really know what genre to put it in. I mean, I make it electronically.
Right.
For the most part, so I would say it's electronic music. I wish I was making soul music because I just love that name.
Nice, all right.
You know, it's soul music. But yeah, no, I mean, it's electronic. I would say it's kind of moody.
Yeah.
Like I describe it and with that intention. Like well, not that intention, but it just seems to go that way a lot of the time. Okay. And when I'm not trying to, it has tribalistic feel to it. Mm-hmm. In terms of the percussion that I sequence. Mm-hmm. So like I'll sequence percussion, and it ends up being kind of more of tribalistic instead of like a four kick out type of thing.
It'll be more.
What's that?
A little bit off the grid.
A little bit off the grid, yeah, a little bit off the grid, and a little bit more simplistic at times, but sometimes not. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of a couple things. I like the idea of what's going on right now with like a lot of traditional world music, like Andean music in the Andes.
Oh yeah.
A lot of Chilean producers like Nicola Cruz, El Bulo, and just to name a few, are really getting into the depths of the traditional music in the Andes and then making it contemporary with electronic, and doing a very like tasteful take on the traditional pieces. And I'm really liking that. It's going on around the world in different styles, you know, taking from the traditional, mixing it with the contemporary, but also a lot of like just world music. It's a big influence to me, like stuff from the 60s. That's a big influence music. But I would say also, like for the percussion stuff, I really like, instead of using like a bass kick, an 808 or something like that, which is just a very classic bass kick, and the clap and something like that. I like to use real sound.
Like
something
something you recorded in like live in field, I guess.
Yeah, either recording live in field or something that I found, like just like a wood block hit.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Or like a lighter click instead of like a hi-hat, like a lighter click and like a wood block, and then getting like a kick that like I can make a kick through some sort of like sampler.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I love that. That's
really
really
cool. It gives it kind of a more natural feel to it, but it like in the percussion stuff, there are some like faster percussion stuff in some of the songs, and I think it has like it goes with that type of style. And I got a lot of that picked up from the artist Burial.
What's the name? What's the name?
Burial.
How do you spell it?
Like I'm gonna bury, like Burial.
Bury. Oh, okay.
An artist out of London. People didn't know who he was for a long time, but very moody stuff. Really dark. But that's what he does. He does like a lot of like the like instead of using the traditional hi-hat, kick, snare, it's more like kick, lighter click.
I get it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. So that's the elements I use.
So
what I've been into recently is a lot of resonation, a lot of resonating types of sounds as well.
Nice. What were you gonna show us just now? What is this clip you're gonna show us right now? This is the production that you made for the next album, or what's going on?
No, I was just gonna play a sample of that I'm gonna use.
Okay.
And it's Nina Simone on An Artist's Duty.
Okay.
During a certain period of time of hers. Should I go ahead and play it?
Yeah, one question before you do that. You sent me a video of a preview or something of a song coming up for the next album. I couldn't find it. Where can I find it real fast on Instagram? Is it on Secret Miracle or is it on yours?
It's on Anthony Comito, and
okay.
I sent it to you actually, but you gotta watch it through IGTV to watch the.
Okay, I understand.
Because the preview is only like it doesn't even get into the song.
I get it. Okay.
But
cool. Yeah. We'll get that. Wait, what is it called again?
Lonely Shelter or Nothing.
Okay, I see it. Okay, yeah. So you're gonna. I got it. Sorry about that, but yeah. So you're gonna play a sample that you use from a Nina Simone documentary.
From one of the songs on the album, but it's Nina Simone, and it's An Artist's Duty.
Okay.
And it's about. I'm just giving you an example of something applicable to the time.
Nice. Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna play in there. You let me know if you can hear it.
Okay.
Duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to respect the time. I think that is true of painters, sculptors, poets, musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, every day is out of iron, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape this country, or it will not be molded and shaped and fucked anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. I can be an artist and not reflect the time. That to me is the definition of an artist.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's
like
really cool. You found a good one.
It's pretty right on point, right on now. Just talking about, every day is a day of survival, and Doesn't matter what color you are. If you're a creative, you got a duty.
I was having a conversation with somebody, or a bunch of people, I think, and I asked, I think it was on like some forum or something, and I asked, what is the duty of the artist during this time of social upheaval and economic crisis? And
wow.
And somebody, he's even on the chat right now, but somebody said he said to record something like to record what happens or your perspective on it, to be like a recorder of the history of it, I guess. I kind of get that from that sample that you just had on there. So
okay. Whatever your medium is, to document it.
Document, yeah, that's the word. Document.
Yeah. And through your own perspective, I guess.
Yes. Is that something you purposely do? Like, as you make the music, you think, okay, I'm going to make this song about this thing, or is it more subconscious, or a bit of both?
No, it's more subconscious. It's and then it's coming across stuff like that, Nina Simone. You can type in it, it's an artist duty, and it's from a documentary.
Did you find the sample first, or did you make the beat first?
I found the sample first.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, all right.
So it led me on towards making something, and then using samples and along those lines. So I'm in the works with it right now. I'm actually working with an artist that goes by Mega Walk. He does stuff for Ubiquity Records, and he's a prolific artist, amazing. And so we're going to be working together to finish that track. And,
what's that?
That's me blowing up on a couple of computers.
So this track is for the next album?
What's that?
This track is for the next album?
Yeah, this track's for the next album.
Okay.
And the other two videos that I put up, they're really rough drafts of tracks that I'm going to be making that, because my huge downfall, making tracks that are way too long.
Way too long.
And,
okay.
yeah, it's because I make the song and then I record it in real time. I actually hit record on something, and then I go around and I do all the stuff. So I don't do the arrangement.
Oh.
I have it fast. So
do you use hardware or software, or both? I mean, you must use some software.
Both, but primarily I'm on Ableton.
Okay. Nice.
Ableton Live 10. So yeah, so I'm running around and scrambling around trying to make the track short enough so it's listenable and it's able to be packaged up into a product.
Yeah. That's it. But you kind of like you like to keep it live. You like to keep it. You don't know exactly where you're going, but you kind of know.
Exactly. I mean, pretty much. It's hard to compact a song into a package and a product, because they're kind of, I feel like it's expanding. It's like this evolving thing. I'm not so sure I'm a live performer yet, and I don't have that dialed down yet. But like when I'm plugged in, like at a show, like before at the Ship in the Woods, a Ship in the Woods or something like that, and I was able to go at it. The stuff really evolved, and the stuff really evolved to a really good point where I feel that should be captured, and that feeling. Okay. It's quite hard to capture that in the.
So what
MP3.
Ship in the Woods is how we met. Like, what was your role in Ship in the Woods? What is Ship in the Woods? Like what? And like what was that about? Like, what did you do? I was
Did we meet
there.
there?
I was there. It was fun. But...
Did we meet at Skip in the Woods?
Yes, almost certain.
The one in Del Mar or the one in Escondido?
I think it's.
Escondido?
I don't know, man. Well, I drove through a bunch of pine trees. I don't know. It could have been Escondido. It could have been Del Mar. Yeah, I was up north for sure.
Yeah, I helped. I was actually the first person to move into a Skip in the Woods.
You live there?
Like
you live there?
I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that.
Oh, you were living there?
Yeah, it was RJ Brooks and Dan Fouché, and they're the ones that they had a house in Del Mar, and they this sort of interview process for people. They said they went to both locations.
So Maldo Don says I went to both locations. That's Patricia. You know her? I think you may know her. I don't know. A local dancer, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So I helped them. They did this kind of like interview process because they had an intention. They wanted to make this house music venue, house museum, just create this artist kind of community, artist residency. Have it. And
that's interesting.
So we started Amar, and it really grew. It really took off. Started working with like connections like the Salk Institute, doing an installation called Redoption that was a big installation that it's kind of a long story, but you go in and it messes with your options, which are layers in your eyes. And it was like you go into a first chamber and you go into a second chamber. And Greg Smaller, he scored music to set off these lights. And these lights made a photographic image in your brain.
Wow.
It was pretty but basically my goal was it shifted over time as like what my day job was and what I was doing.
Okay.
But
hey, so just real fast, just to let everybody know that doesn't know what Ship in the Woods is. I guess the best way to describe it is Ship in the Woods is, from my perspective, it was like a venue that had a lot of experimental art and music, and they would just have these events every couple times a year, art, music, art installation, performances, etc. Just always at some location, multiple rooms, and it was really cool. So just for people that don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we would really hit like all kind of aspects of creativity in terms of whether it was working with author, poets, dancing, installations, immersive installations, sculptors, design. Yeah, I think their tagline is a culture for capital or a vessel for cultural capital.
That's cool. Hey, are they still doing things? What's the future of Ship in the Woods, if you don't mind, or if you don't? Then we're gonna go to your music after that.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see, but stuff is definitely going to be in the works and the same. We'll see. We'll see.
Nice.
I'm
sure you let us all know.
I mean, the last thing that we did was the Ship Fest. I don't know if you guys went to it, but it was we did a art and music festival with 50 art installations.
50? Wow, that's amazing.
20 musicians, including like Built to Spill and Shabazz Palaces, and I played a little bit, but then a lot of like this band Ice Balloons that has a guy from TV on the Radio, and that's really cool.
Nice. TV and radio is awesome. Okay, so we're gonna play a little bit, guess a sample from Anthony's upcoming album. Anthony is also known as Secret Miracle. What's the name of the album?
You know, I think it might be called Tonglen, which is a form of meditation.
Oh man, that sounds cool.
You can look into that. It's a meditation. Just real briefly, there's 4 stages of the meditation, but real short and sweet of what's been passed on to me is that it's breathing, focusing, and having an intention. Maybe the intent someone suffering, or a crowd that's certain group that's suffering. Breathing that in and feeling the human connectedness with that.
That's
and
interesting.
Then breathing out the peace and breathing out.
How do you spell that?
Tonglen is Tonglen.
I'm gonna look that up. Sounds cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what, as everyone as active as they are, which is awesome these days.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little bit my heartstrings get quite cold, and a fire can burn inside me. So I kind of I don't disconnect. I stay connected, but I just practice meditation, and I practice other things that can kind of center me and then give me a little bit more clarity to what steps I maybe can do to help.
Cool, very cool. Potential name of the album, but the name of this song, which will be on the album, right? Lonely Shelter is the name. About 9 minutes. Be a little.
Yeah, you want to maybe skip in there, or I don't know. It's up to you. I don't know. Can you play the video? The song has very low frequencies on it.
Oh, really? Well, we'll see how. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Oops. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. I'm gonna play it. If you're on Facebook or Zoom, you can see it, but it's a video to it too. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I will turn my camera around.
You gonna turn it again?
You still there, Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I can't do that. It's because the sound is like out there. All right. You hear it? Not so much?
I can't sound booty.
Does it sound that good? It'll sound good on YouTube, though. It's not clear on
so evolving.
I haven't heard it yet, so this is my first time hearing it. I really like it. Cool. Yeah. So that's from the upcoming album.
Yeah. I'm actually working with a producer, Open Optics, Eric Pauline, and we're gonna tighten these up, and I might actually put vocals on that track.
Oh
like,
wow! So we got a sneak preview. Very fresh.
Little long sneak preview.
Yeah. All right. So when do you think it's coming out, the album?
You know, I was hoping by the end of this month, because the songs I got the songs, I need to tighten them up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going on a little hiatus for a little bit. So, maybe, probably. Hopefully at the end of this month.
Okay.
Let's just say that. Nice and sweet.
Nice. And I don't know. Anything you want to pitch? Like anything else you want to talk about? Any other projects with other people?
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of things. Well, one thing, if you want to ever check out my music, I'll plug myself first.
Yeah, definitely.
Just type it into any of the digital platforms, and it's just Secret Miracle. And the name came from a short story by Jorge Borges, and he's an Argentinian author and poet, I believe. And long story short, again, it's basically God granted a man a secret miracle. And before he was put to death, he got time to finish a piece of art. Time froze, and he was able to finish a piece of art. And it's called The Secret Miracle. And that's what Secret Miracle, the name came from. But so yeah, you can type into Secret Miracle into Spotify or whatever, any of those, whatever you use, or Alexa or Google or YouTube or I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Amazon.
Okay. Yes.
Secret Miracle. Hopefully this stuff will evolve and get, hoping that. But yeah, I wanted to mention a couple other things that I don't they're on here. I have no investment in this project, but they're called Global Correlation. Okay. It's coral, like correlation. Okay. And they restore coral where like coral reefs have all died and all the underwater sea life has died. But they're a group of artists, and right now they're in Dominican Republic, and they just built a 30-foot underwater sculpture. They went there. It's this couple, and they went there and they worked with the elders. They worked with the elders of the Dominican Republic, of the native people that were thought to be extinct because of Christopher Columbus coming over, but they are still around. And they worked with the elders, and the elders thought to design a woman that was half woman, half frog, because frogs are well received or well regarded in Dominican Republic, giving birth to the ocean. And it's 30-foot sculpture that they built, and it's going to be a coral garden. And they took it out to sea in Dominican Republic. I'm mentioning them because they really don't get any exposure, and they really just go do the deal. And I got linked up with one of them, and it was something that I was like, farthest from my not interest, but what I had knowledge of.
Right. Yeah.
But they're just such good people with such good intentions. They also have something called the Art Rising, where they go into communities and work with the communities to build art sculptures or something, work with the community to make art together and help the community profit getting clean water from selling the art or something along those lines. So that's global correlation, like coral, like as in a coral reef. And then there's some other stuff. Another thing I'd like to mention is I believe it's Artist Co-op San Diego.
Okay.
Run by Paul from he's in Oxydos working. He's looking to put together an artist co-op. Okay. And the logo is SD, and it looks like ACDC.
Yeah,
but,
I've seen that. I've seen it on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. So wanted to plug him, then wanted to plug Thumbprint Gallery.
All right. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Super cool gallery. You know, got the good stuff going on, keeping it strong, keeping it going. And yeah, just everyone else just keep doing what they're doing, and yeah, I guess that's you know, I wanted to plug that.
Nice, man. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Anthony Comito, aka Secret Miracle. Be on the lookout for his upcoming album release. Name has not been decided yet. What's your Instagram?
It's at Anthony Comito. It's COMITO. So at symbol Anthony COMITO.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's where I post actually my music stuff there.
Okay. Excellent, man. Well, thank you so much. I hope to have you back again. Maybe after you release the album, let us know what you're up to.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Johnny, for putting it together and keeping it going and keeping the community together and just doing you. And thanks to all the people. And yeah, I'll be reaching out to some people.
Nice, man. Thank you so much.
All right, bud. Take care.
All right.
Ciao.
All right, so that was Anthony Comito, aka Secret Miracle, local electronica musician. This has been Creative Buzz Podcast, a glimpse into the local arts hive mind. We cover San Diego arts and culture every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Thanks everybody for coming by. Consider making a donation to Thumbprint Gallery, our sponsor, to help us keep this thing going. PayPal info@thumbprintgallery.com. Venmo is at Thumbprint Gallery. Check out our current online art exhibition, The Complexity of Life, solo art show by Carlo Miranda. And yeah, we'll see you guys next Wednesday. I don't know exactly what we have going on, but it'll be good. I promise. All right. See you guys.